Hey, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you are all doing awesome on this fine, lovely day. All right, so let's get right into it, you beautiful badasses. All right, we got this story coming to us from the folks over at CBR.com. And Galadriel and Sauron's conflict on Rings of Power creates a huge Lord of the Rings problem. Uh-oh. The Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, had its fair share of problems, you think? But what it did to Galadriel in the finale didn't make any Lord of the Rings sense. Okay, let's see what they have to say. The Rings of Power first season has been in the books for a while now, and unfortunately, reception towards the Amazon series hasn't gotten better. Some movies and shows age like fine wine as people become more at ease with them. However, that hasn't been the case with the Rings of Power. While initial numbers weren't bad, viewers quickly started losing interest as viewership numbers dropped with each episode. A few weeks removed from the finale, and things are getting worse. The Rings of Power has fallen completely out of Nielsen's ratings. To add insult to injury, some are calling the whole venture nothing but a cash grab. King Theoden? The series showrunners have promised to account for fans' criticisms in season 2, but at this point, they have an uphill battle ahead of them. Galadriel was a manufactured hero on the Rings of Power. Some fans voiced their reservations about the Rings of Power leading up to its debut, and the complaints continued throughout the series' episodic releases. Tolkien purists didn't like the idea of crowding thousands of years of material into a single story, even if that was the most practical thing to do. Other complaints included the inclusion of two Durins, some cringy dialogue, the creation of unnecessary characters, and the overall haphazard breaks with Lord of the Rings canon. While those complaints may be legitimate, the biggest sticking point for some fans was Galadriel's character. After seeing her in The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, fans expected a regal elf queen, and they were surprised to see her as a brazen warrior who didn't have the full respect of her people. The truth is, the warrior-like Galadriel did have Lord of the Rings precedent. That's casting a very wide net on the word precedent right there. But there were still grounds for complaint. The Rings of Power needed a hero, so it manufactured Galadriel into a clear-cut hero. The thing is, Galadriel wasn't a hero in the Second Age. She wanted to rule, and that's why she stayed in Middle-earth, not because she felt a calling to hunt down Sauron. The Rings of Power created a Galadriel problem. Unfortunately, that misrepresentation of Galadriel cheapened one of her most classic scenes from Lord of the Rings, In the Fellowship of the Ring, Galadriel showed Frodo her mirror in Lothlorien, where he saw visions of the future. After that, he tried to offer the long-lived One Ring to Galadriel, and she admitted that she greatly desired it. While reaching for it, she saw the truth. If she took the ring, she would become an evil queen. Not dark, but beautiful, and terrible as the dawn, treacherous as the seas, stronger than the foundations of the earth. All shall love me and despair. It was a character-defining moment because she refused power, which was unlike her character. The Rings of Power, which had already portrayed Galadriel as a selfless hero, and as I said, a bitch, basically. Like an arrogant, self-righteous, vengeful bitch, made the scene seem odd. When Halbrand offered to align with Galadriel, he said, "I would make you a queen, fair as the sea and the sun, stronger than the foundations of the earth." The similarities between the two quotes are undeniable, but that only makes things worse. If Galadriel had already overcome Sauron's temptations, then it shouldn't have been so difficult in Fellowship of the Ring. She should have been prepared to refuse power, rather than be shocked by her vision of what she would become with the One Ring under her command. Thus, the Rings of Power created a problem for Galadriel's character, but specifically for her mirror scene with Frodo. All right, I mean, let's discuss it. I think they're right. I think it does cause a problem because, as they say, if you accept the rings of power as part of the lore, then you have to accept the fact of, well, you have to accept several things that are specifically different in what Tolkien wrote about Galadriel. One of the things you would have to accept is you would have to accept that Galadriel's time in the Second Age was spent on this hunt for vengeance, this need to get revenge on Sauron and hunt him down, which completely changes Galadriel's character at a fundamental level. Okay, it changes her character. That's not who she is. And so, if you accept that, then yes, you also have to accept the fact that at the end, the season finale, Sauron offers her the option of like being his queen and basically ruling Middle Earth with him, which then does undercut the importance of what happens in the Fellowship of the Ring, where she, is offered the ring and almost, succumbs to it. She sort of, and we went through this in a video just from the day before yesterday, where she saw what she would become and she knew what she would become, and she let go of this need to want to rule a kingdom and this need to have this certain level of power. It wouldn't have been a thing if you take the Rings of Power show as canon, because she's literally already not succumb to a direct temptation by Sauron. Sauron directly telling her, hey, I want you to be the queen by my side and we can rule Middle Earth. So if she was able to overcome that in the Second Age, okay, then the One Ring, which is only the One Ring because it's imbued with Sauron's malice and hatred and will to dominate, right? That's what gives the One Ring its power, is that Sauron put some of his will to dominate, some of his essence, I guess would be the right word, into the ring. That's what gives his ring the power, right? Well, if she was able to refuse the man himself, Sauron, refusing his ring should be a non-starter. I mean, that's like, so you can easily tell Sauron, go fuck yourself, face to face, when he's saying, hey, I want you to be my queen, but somehow his ring is just like, oh, I don't know, and then at the last minute you got to pull it out. It just doesn't add up, and this is the problem that the Rings of Power going off and breaking the lore creates, is it creates problems with other adaptations, namely the Peter Jackson adaptations, because situations like the season finale of season 1 of Rings of Power stand in direct contrast to things that we know happen in the Fellowship of the Ring, which again, not only is Peter Jackson, but is in direct contrast to things that happen in the book. So it does have this sort of ripple effect of affecting the lore overall, if you accept the show as being canon, or as you accept it into the quote unquote legendarium. It creates these contradictions, and it makes things that were previously very self-established, everyone was very much aware of them. It throws a whole new light on them that doesn't make any sense. And now you start to the scene with Frodo in the pool and he offers her the ring is kind of stupid in light of the fact that she was able to tell Sauron to his face, go F yourself. So it just shows why the damage that a show like this can do. And if people don't call it out and don't, and people start to accept it as the canon aspect of what the overall legendarium is about, you see the problems now. It has this ripple effect. It's almost like the butterfly effect. And the butterfly flaps its wings. In upstate New York, and there's a thunderstorm and a typhoon in the China Sea. You know what I mean? it just goes to show the whole problem, the reason why Tolkien fans are so upset with this show. So anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think that that final, temptation of Sauron, when he tried to tempt Galadriel in the show, in the final episode of the show, if it, you know, somehow takes away from the importance of Galadriel and in the pool, and I mean in her scrying mirror, and when Frodo offers her the ring, do you think it diminishes the importance of that moment now that you've seen that Sauron directly offered her like co-rulership of Middle Earth? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, or do you just think that the show is trash and people shouldn't take it seriously at all, and for them to make another 4 seasons is a waste of money? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you like the video, If you want to share the video, please feel free to do so. If you haven't subscribed already, I would hope that you would consider giving me your subscription. And if you have, I thank you very much. We are coming up on the Christmas holiday and New Year's, and I'm hoping we can get this up to 500 at least by New Year's, preferably by Christmas. But shit happens. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider it. Anyway, I will talk to you all soon. Can't wait to read the comments. I will see you later. Peace.